So welcome everybody to UK Wisdom's Chats. We call it UK Wisdom's Chats, but anybody can join from anywhere in the world. It just happens to be 8 o'clock in the UK, and so we're connecting mainly with UK. Edward sort of and Calvin have been the spearhead behind it, and so it's good to have you all on board. We're actually following a bit of a structure when it comes to these Wisdom's Chats. The Wisdom's has an introductory program that we call the Difference Maker. And it has these core principles about how to make a difference in your life by making a difference in other people's lives. So it's really just about getting your head into gear around just some basics for mindset. And so today it's around actions speak louder than words. And so just asking the question of you, what does that mean to you? It seems, again, you know, Wisdom's is one of those things we keep it simple, but as soon as you start delving a little bit deeper, you realize that the simple has layers of depth and wisdom to it. So Trev, I'm going to start with you because this is really something that you've, you know, this speaks very much to who you are and what's important to you. So actions speak louder than words. What does that mean to you?
Oh my goodness, you caught me taking action here. I was about to actually invite everyone on Mark Jarrett's site to come in and listen here. So I'll have to get to that just now. They're going to miss the best part of this program. Now look,
sorry.
actions speak louder than words. Always been a philosophy of mine. I reckon you've actually got to shout the odds about what it is that you're going to do and then do it. Or make a damn good attempt to make whatever it is that you've said happen. Because really what that does is it provides a goal for you. It provides some sort of motivation that's the target for that I'm setting for myself. And if it involves a whole group of other people or a community, they can also see that you're a man of your word or a woman of your word. That what you say you're going to do. And that's how I've lived my entire life. It's to turn around and say, if I go back to all the things that I've done, and I'm very much an organizer of many people in groups, which I'm absolutely tired of. So someone else can take that all over from me. But as an organizer, I organized and founded a canoe club. I organized rugby clubs. I organized water polo clubs. We had a running club that we all got involved in athletics. I organized property syndications. I organized perhaps a multi-billion rand community initiative here in South Africa in Lone Hill. And all of them were done on the basis, hey guys, this is a load of rubbish. If I'm going to do this, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And I've really taken the philosophy is if you're going to get in the way, you're going to get run over. So rather those people who like the idea, come with me, it's going to happen. And each time that it happened, just gave further impetus to the next one because I was able to turn around and say, well, that's what I said I'd do then, there and there. And that's what we did. Which makes it a lot more believable for the next project that you actually do. And for me, it's about climbing a mountain. There's Everest up there. Guys, this is where we're going to go. And in my mind, if we fall, 30 meters short of the top, we're a lot higher than most other people have actually gone anyway. So, I don't know why you point to me as someone who backs up your proposition, but perhaps you can actually turn around and say, yes, this guy does do what he sets out to do.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. And Wisdom's has its story around that in terms of what happened in 2020, and maybe Ivan can share that. But before he gets into that story, Edward, I'd love to hear your take on what it means action speaks louder than words.
Yeah, I was surprised that Trevor was quite happy to fall off a mountain 30 meters short, but never mind. He said something about a man or woman of your word, and it made me think of, I prepared this earlier, but I was going to use it in a different way, about Greta Thunberg, the environmental campaigner, big hero of mine. And she said recently at a UN summit, distant hypothetical targets are being set and big speeches are being given. Yet when it comes to the immediate action we need, we are still in a state of complete denial, as we waste our time creating new loopholes with empty promises and creative accounting. And I think, that's a prime example of actions speak louder than words. And there's a saying from the 17th century, which I love. I didn't like it when I first heard it, but the more I've got used to it, the more I like it. And it's fine words, butter no parsnips. Now, in the 17th century, it was before potatoes came to the UK, and parsnips were a staple food, and people used to put butter on them, and butter was expensive. And the point was, fine words, butter no parsnips. You can say what you like. It's actually actions that put money on the table so you can buy butter. And I've always lived by that words mean nothing. And if you look at a manifesto promise made by the current government when they were seeking election way back, in 2015, they came out in their manifesto with a plan to solve the housing crisis. And they pledged, it was in 2015, they pledged to build 200,000 starter homes by 2020. Well, at the end of 2019, the National Audit Office, which is a government department, found that not a single house had been built. So fine words, butter no parsnips. Actions are what matter. And I'll just use a little tiny example from my career when I used to supply shops with sporting stuff. I had a customer, took me ages to get that customer, and the first order got messed up. It wasn't my fault, actually. It went direct from our suppliers and they messed up. But of course, the customer doesn't care whose fault it is. It's gone wrong. And rather than sort of, apologize and explain all that sort of stuff, I knew that they liked chocolate and that very often they had cake in the staff room. So I went online, found a really nice hamper of chocolate and drinking chocolate and brownies and things like that, and sent it to them with a note saying sorry. And that produced a bigger impact than all the words I could have used. So I think, actions definitely do speak louder than words, and words are just that. They're just words. They mean nothing. And that's from a writer.
Well, and actions, especially if they're backed up with chocolate, that will work every time. Tim, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that those are two very hard acts to follow. Both Trevor and Edward, gosh, I haven't had any time really to prepare that, but it's extremely true, and it's testament really to the success of any business is it's clear in the action that they've taken. And it's a bit like what Edward said, if the government was being ran as a business, or if their manifesto was a business plan, it wouldn't be long till they actually realized how important the massive action is. And I've always said to myself that if our National Health Service and our government was run as a business by an entrepreneur, it would be a much, much better place, because because the action would get taken, things would get done, the numbers actually would get looked at, and the budgets that this endless stream of invisible money comes from, you know, in a real business, when the bank balance gets to zero, it's at zero. You know, there's no more left. So in business, as entrepreneurs, we've got to take that action. And sometimes, scary as it might be, yes, but going back to sort of what Trevor said, it can be made an awful lot easier if there is a strong enough reason why. And from my clients, I can see that, well, I can see it, and they can see that they need to do the things. But the thing that is missing is that they haven't tied it to a positive reason why they want to do it. So if we can tie the task, or you know, the massive action really to something massive that matters to ourselves, it gets done an awful lot easier. And you know, as someone said to me recently, we only ever do two things, and we're either moving away from pain or towards pleasure. So if you've got the tasks that you want to do, but you don't have a positive enough reason to do it, then you're moving away from pain. Whereas if you do have the goal of where you want to go, then you're moving towards the pleasure.
I think that's a really, really important point, Tim, this whole thing of it's your big enough why. And that's what is actually motivating your actions, which creates that commitment to actually making them happen. So Kelvin, I'd love to see your face and love to hear your thoughts.
Is my camera on? Can you see me? You can see me. Oh, okay. Fantastic. I just had to bail out, excuse me, to put the link on Facebook and WhatsApp and put it out there and send it to a few friends. Just like as Trevor was saying, action. You got to take action. So I've noticed I haven't posted it out today, so I had to put it out real quick. Again, just taking action. I think that's what it is. So that's what it's all about. You know, we can talk and say a lot of things, and really it's all about moving the muscle, taking action. You know, it's action is a foundational key, you know, to all success. And for me, it's, I think every day I wake up, I am trying every day to close the gap between what I know and what I actually do. And I think that probably be for every one of us. A lot of things that we know, well, action is, you know, do we do them? Do we do them daily? Are there things that require that we show up and do every day, or once in a while, or once in a year? You know, so I think every day we wake up and get up, we're doing stuff, where we're acting. Being here is taking action. Being here is closing the gap. And I think that's the gap that a lot of people struggle with, the gap of, you know, what I know, what I do, what I know, what I do. You know, favorite scripture says, be ye doers of the word, or, you know, so are we doing the words, or just talking about it? Are we thinking about it? Are we wishing for it? And for me, action again is every day I close the gap, no matter how tiny it is, no matter how every stretch I make, I am speaking louder. I'm speaking louder every time I push the line. And for me, that's what it really means. Just closing the gap. And the strangest thing I realized is the gap's always expanding. The gap's always expanding. As much as you keep going, it expands, and and you realize, oh my goodness, when does he ever close? Well, until you live the face of the earth. We have to keep, the more we learn, the more because I believe all of us as students of life, we're learning every day, never too young, never too old, we're all learning. And the more we learn, we're getting more information, more strategies, more ideas, or more sense of wisdom, reflection that we just can apply to other parts of our lives. And again, is the gap never finishes, but just keep going, just to keep taking action. And the more we take action, the more our words, the more our works, the more our fruits will keep speaking. That's just my thoughts. Yeah. Thank you, Lee. Thank you.
Thanks, Calvin. I think this idea of this ever expanding, we're always reaching more and more, and that so the more we know, the more we grow, the more we learn, the more we do. As we do, we learn, and so it just creates this sort of virtual cycle, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even on what we've learned as well.
Yeah. Yes. Brilliant. Thanks, Calvin. Herman, what are your thoughts to add into the pot?
First, I have a question. Was it last week's topic, making a difference means what that means to me?
Sorry, Herman, I'm not sure. My mind is onto the.
Okay.
So
because that's what I had on my diary. And
sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Because I
think that was last week.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because the two, in my opinion, are interlinked.
Lovely. They are meant to go from one to the other. So.
Taking action means making a difference. And we have a prime example in our own government here that, we have had national development programs and whatever else, and nothing has happened. Yet, by the same token, I think for us to take effective action, we also need to articulate it. So words are quite important. Language in that context is quite important. I don't know whether you're familiar with the saying by Ludwig Wittgenstein, who was a philosopher from Austria ending up in the UK, who said, the limit of my language is the limit of my world. So connecting that to taking action, I think it's critical that we have the right language in order to articulate, but then convert. Thank you.
Wisdom, Herman, wisdom right there. Thank you. And Ivan, what, let's, share.
I was just giving you some action, so it was no words from me, just actions. So, yeah, look, in a way I agree, in a way I totally disagree. So I think from Calvin's point of this ever expanding gap, I think the more we learn, the less we realize we know. So if you keep on expanding your world, you just realize how much more out there is to actually learn. So I think the more you learn, the less you actually realize you do truly know. And on the other side of the coin, what happens if you don't have words or your words aren't understood, Herman? The only thing you can do is take action and show people what to do and show them how to do it. So, yes, it's great to be eloquent and it's great to be able to explain yourself well, but at the end of the day, humans learn by watching, not necessarily by listening. And then if you look at children, that's definitely the case. And that's when we learn the most in our lives, is those very early years. Language is actually relatively meaningless at that point in time in our lives. And we learn by watching and emulating what we see. So I think action is extremely important in the process, regardless of what level you're operating at, because as we've said around this group here, words can be incredibly empty and incredibly meaningless, despite how well they're spoken. And I think we need to be very wary of very eloquent speakers. They often simply are blowing hot air, in my opinion. So yeah, I think action's critical. Action's absolutely critical. I'm not sure what Lee was referring to about 2020. I mean, we took no action in 2020 at all. We just sat around and did nothing. No, not true. Yeah. See, Trevor is just taking all the action we took. But yeah, flat out action from the team from the beginning of lockdown hasn't stopped. And hopefully that's that's showing the way in some ways. It's encouraging people in other ways, and it's certainly opened up, I think, opportunities. And I think that's what taking action does. Talking.
Can I add something there?
Go ahead, Herman.
Human beings wouldn't be where they are without language. We have a lot of action within the animal world, where one animal copies another, but you can't pass it on because they are lacking language. So there's a lot of action in the animal world, but as I said, they can't pass it on because of lack of language. And for us, having the capacity of language made us what we are as human beings today. And yes, I agree, language for the sake of language without action is useless. I fully agree with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Herman. Have you heard of the 100th monkey principle?
I have.
Yeah. So by the time an action gets to the 100th monkey, it suddenly explodes across the globe where there's been no physical interaction at all. So yeah, sometimes actions do speak louder than words. But yeah, look, it always helps to have a good explanation in the right context. I don't disagree with that at all. I just think we can't see them as one or the other. I think they have to be integral to the process.
But if I can jump in on that one, I think just to add something in, and this is not to denigrate anyone's point of view. It's I think, and I think it's a common phrase that people don't follow what you say; they follow what you do. And we tend as people to actually point out who the blowhards are that always shout their mouths off and never actually achieve. And then, of course, they're the other guys who shout their mouths off and they become world champions. And you know who I think of, our mate Oscar. I think he's the greatest, the action-oriented guy who backs up every statement he makes because that's what motivates him to perform, to become a world champion at his, it's not canoeing, his pedal skiing and all that he does. So, but I do believe that people don't judge you on what you say, they judge you on what you do. And I think Herman actually pointed to that as something that comes from our politicians. We're looking for people to back up their statements with their actions in uplifting society, as opposed to just talking and not making things happen.
Yeah, so I am going to throw a spanner in the works, and I am sort of going to talk. We've emphasized the importance of action, and I think that point is well made. But we have an example in current times where a president of a huge nation is being held to account, the nation is trying to hold him to account, not for what he did, but for what he said. And this word incite is a very powerful word because it's the words that have led to actions. that have impacted an entire nation and the world. And that one of the consequences of that is that the platforms that this president used they used this as a megaphone to spread his word and his message. These social media platforms have cut him off so that his words are now have shrunk the reach of his words in order to limit his power and the consequences of what his words could continue to do. And so I think we do need to say something about the power of words and its impact on our actions. So Trevor, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I just think it's the misguided tactics of fools and politicians, because nowhere do you get leaders of armies who stand on the front line. They actually put all their minions in the front and they say, hey, go out there, be strong, rah, 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 go and do it. And then when you look for them, they, follow me, I'm right behind you, is their type of strategy. The trick is to get these leaders to actually get in front. If you want to take down the state capital, or if you want to take over the world, well, you get in the front of the queue and you take the first bullets and show me how to do it, is what people who should be thinking should be saying to these fools and politicians. Not that I've got an opinion.
Don't make your opinion unknown, Trevor. We'd hate to know exactly what you think. So we've got 2 minutes. Any final words before we wrap up? Edward.
Yeah, there is a saying that people with the most to say the least.
What are you trying to say?
It's quite simple, Trevor, that you never learn anything while you're talking, you only learn while you're listening.
And having said that, Edward, I'm now lost for words and not sure where we go from there. Well, you know what? Thank you, everybody, for taking, as I say, simple words. Action speaks louder than words, and really exploring it. And then, of course, the question comes back to us. So what does that mean about me? What actions am I choosing to take? How am I responsible for the actions that I say I am going to take? Stephen Covey, the son, Stephen M.R. Covey, I think he's written a book, The Speed of Trust. And he talks about integrity being that my words and my actions are aligned. And so it's about the promises that we keep to ourselves and to others. So I think that's also very key in terms of actions and words. So thank you, everybody. Next week, we will be talking about, and I think it does flow from this, because if you are going to be a person of action, more than likely, there are going to be people who disagree with you and flat out criticize what you do. So how do you deal with criticism? So that is the topic for next week. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas and opinions and stories around that. So, and then please invite, obviously, as we build a group of people who have different and diverse opinions, the richer this conversation is going to be. So everybody have a good week, and act and speak well.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.